viewers, welcome to real.its, a program that enlightens you and educates you on matters environment. This week we are privileged and honored to have Jabez, who is going to talk about forestry. Karibu Jabez.
Thank you very much, Faith,
yes.
for this opportunity. Yeah, I'm really honored as well to be here to talk about forestry.
Okay.
Yes.
So, who is Jabez?
Jabez Okumu is a wildlife program manager at East African Wildlife Society. Jabez also coordinates a forum called Kenya Wetlands Forum, which is a national forum that brings all stakeholders to discuss issues, wetlands conservation in Kenya. I'm also a community trainer. Yeah, I like training communities on natural resource issues of environment. Yeah.
Okay, so today we are discussing about forestry. We're discussing about this forest sector. So what can you tell us about the forest sector?
If I look at forest sector in general, I think we are coming from far. If I look at our forest back in 1990s all up to now, between 1990 up to 2000, we had a lot of forest degradation going on. We lost a lot of forest during that time. But since 2000 up to now, we have seen some kind of increase, even though it's very insignificant, but we have seen some kind of positive progression in terms of forest cover. Because as at 2010, we had a forest cover of about 7%, which is really a good growth. Yeah, so I think with the current efforts that we are putting towards forest conservation, I can only imagine that we can go far. And actually achieving the vision 2030, the target of 10% by 2030, I don't see anything that can stop us from achieving it, because already there are good efforts that are being put by the government. Actually, if you look at this year, this is the first time we are seeing that the government has really taken the issues of environment very seriously. The other day in May, we saw the president launched the national tree planting campaign. Of course, we are aspiring to plant up to about 1.8 billion trees. Of course, this is geared towards achieving that forest cover of 10%, which is in our constitution and also as our aspiration of 2030. Yeah, so we do have challenges, but I think we are really making good progress in terms of achieving what we want, because forests are very important.
Forests are very important.
Very, very important.
So when you talk about this 10% forest cover, do you think that we will achieve that 10% forest cover with whatever thing that is happening? You find that we have human settlements, we have animals and what have you. So do you think at the end of the day we can achieve this cover?
Forest cover of 10% is achievable. First of all, I would like to mention that when you're talking about forests, we are not only looking at the natural forests, which are managed by the government. We're also looking at the forest outside those natural forests. And if you look at, people have been doing a lot of on-farm forestry, where we have now started seeing people planting trees on their farms. I think all these are geared towards achieving this forest cover of 10%. So it's not only government-managed forest, but also forest within our farmlands. And also looking at the legal environment. I think we have good legal frameworks that, if well implemented, then I don't see anything that can stop us from achieving the 10%. Yeah. And also looking at the political goodwill that is there. I think it's really a good driver that is going to take us there. Yeah, so it's achievable. Okay. Yeah.
So so for you, you believe that at the end of the day, if we have the political goodwill, we can achieve the 10% forest cover and achieve our vision 2030.
Yeah, political goodwill is very important. Yeah. But then on the sideline of the political goodwill, you also need to take action. Yeah. Environmental issues require collective action. And if every Kenyan can take the initiative of growing trees, not planting trees.
Yes,
because planting trees is one thing. I mean, you just dig a hole, have that ceiling there, and that's the end of planting a tree.
Because I think that is what is really happening. People are planting trees. We've had cases whereby 50,000 trees, seedlings were being planted, but at the end of the day, you find that only like 500 survive just because of that aspect of planting a tree.
Actually, we as East Africa Wildlife Society, we are trying to change that narrative.
Yes.
Where people go plant trees to take selfies and post them on social media, claiming that they're conservation enthusiasts, which is not really the case. If you're really passionate about conservation, you'll plant a tree and look to it that that tree grows to maturity. Because otherwise, if you plant a tree today and you don't take care of it, can you claim one day that you planted trees? Because there will be nothing to show for it. So we are trying to tell people that let us not plant trees to show others. Let us plant trees because we know it is important to have these trees.
Yes.
Because once you know the importance of a tree, that's the time that you'll see that I need to put more efforts towards looking at how that tree I can nurture it to maturity. So we've been trying to encourage even corporates, wherever we are having various events, we tell them when you're given a section to plant a tree, also think of how they'll be taken care of beyond that day.
So, Mr. Jabez, when you talk about now growing the trees,
Yeah.
okay, have you involved, as your organization, the East African Wildlife Society, have you involved any other age group to see to it that forestry is being conserved? The youth, the Wamamas down there, you told us that you're working for the community. I don't know, what is it that you've done with the youth, with the mamas, to see to it that we have protected and conserved the environment?
Yeah, actually in our organization we involve different level of stakeholders, starting from the grassroots level to the national government, because we believe all the stakeholders have a stake when it comes to forestry, or let me just talk about forest conservation in Kenya. So what we've been doing, you see, planting trees is one side, but then there's also the need to reduce pressure from this forest.
Yes.
Yeah, we know most of our communities depend on fuelwood. And so we have had a lot of people cutting trees, to produce charcoal. Actually, I don't tell people, we don't talk about burning charcoal. Because if you burn charcoal, what remains is ash. So we talk about charcoal production, not burning charcoal. Because if you burn charcoal, you don't get charcoal. So if you want to produce a charcoal, then that's a different process. So many people use that term, but it's not really correct.
Yes.
Apart from encouraging or working with the communities to plant trees and nurture them, because one thing that we'll be doing is we work with the organized groups within the communities. We call them CFAs. CFAs are community forest associations. Because it's very difficult to work with communities at individual levels. So you organize them in group first. Then the next thing that we do is capacity build them, make them understand why they need to take action when it comes to forest conservation. Then we also support them in terms of establishing tree nurseries. Because looking at even the ambition that the country has towards growing 1.8 billion trees will require seedlings. And I can tell you, we have inadequate seedlings. That are not, the ceilings that we have as of now is not enough to hit that target. So we have been trying to work with the communities to establish tree nurseries. That will help them earn income, but then on the other side, they'll be contributing towards forest conservation. The other thing that we do, we train communities on, I'll call them energy efficient technologies, so that if they're using fuel wood within their household, they're able to use a minimal amount. I'll give a case in point. I've been working with the communities around Suswa area. Suswa area is known to be prone for floods. When you talk about Suswa, the only thing that comes to the mind of people is floods. And the first thing that we did in that area is we were explaining to communities that some of the challenges that they face as a result of the environment are because of their actions. And so if they can change their actions, then they'll be able to reverse some of these adverse effects that they're able to receive. Then we now train them on these energy efficient technologies where we use appliances that use less fuel load. Most of them use the 3-stone stoves, which really consumes a lot of fuel load. And that means that this woman has to walk long distance to collect huge loads of firewood to be able to take her even for 2 days or even 1 week. But with the new technology that we taught them, these women now only use 2 firewood to cook a lot of foodstuffs. And that's one thing that they really appreciate.
And those are just the branches, they're just cutting the branches.
Yes, they just cut the branches and they collect purely dry firewood. So even if they go to the forest, they don't see the need to fell a tree because they only need the dry firewood that they can use to cook. So you see, that one is reducing pressure on the forest. But then, once you reduce the pressure on the forest, we also need to increase the cover. That's now when the growing of trees come in place.
Now, you can't just go to a community and tell them, you know what, plant a tree. You have to plant a tree.
Yeah.
I know you need to tell them the importance of this, the trees and the forest cover. So I don't know, maybe Jabez, you can tell us maybe what are some of the importance. I know some people may think they know, but it's very important for us to be reminding ourselves every day the importance of forests and the importance of trees.
Thank you, Faith, for that question. Anytime I'm training the communities, the first debate we normally have is a debate between trees and people. And in Kiswahili we say mti versus mtu. And basically what we have been looking at is what does we as people or human beings give to trees, and what does trees give to us, so that we are able to weigh and see, are we really doing justice to the trees? So if I can just touch on the issues of the importance of trees. One, the issue of food security. Trees are very important when it comes to food security, and I'm going to explain that further. One, wherever we don't have trees, the agricultural production goes down. Why? Because where there are no trees, there are a lot of flooding. And what does flooding do? It carries away the topsoil, which is rich in fertility. So then the remaining soil is not able to nurture the crops that are there. So that will lower the food production or food productivity. So trees are very important. They're very important when it comes to food security, and that's one of the key agenda of our president or the current government.
Yes, food security.
Food security.
As one of the pillars.
One of the key, or the four
key pillars.
Key pillars.
Yes.
The second one, about trees, we're talking about climate change. Farmers are now not able to say, when do we plant? When do we harvest? A lot of, you realize that there are a lot of changes when it comes to the environmental conditions, because maybe the farmers used to know that maybe in January there's a bit of rain, or maybe in May there's a bit of rain, but that has really changed. And it's because of climate change. And this has been greatly attributed to actually deforestation that has been happening. So by having the trees, they help us absorb what we call carbon dioxide, which is one of the greenhouse gases that is contributing towards climate change. So by having a tree, what we are trying to do is that we are able to absorb the carbon dioxide that is being emitted into the atmosphere. So by that, we are reducing the impacts that will come with the climate change. By just planting one tree, one tree can sequester up to 4 kilograms of carbon in 1 year.
Hey, I think that is a very, very important point. Maybe we just take a break and then we'll come and continue discussing about the same.